Okay. So let us start. So before we go ahead, let us pay homage to Mr. Ratan Tata. Today is his birth anniversary. One of the pioneer figures in corporate world and as a also in general a great Indian. So let's remember him. So as we usually do in our market update session, we analyze various indices, Nifty, Bank Nifty from the India point of view. Then of course we look at the global micro picture, wherein we analyze SPX, the US index, Nasdaq, then DXY, which is the dollar index, WDI crude index, gold. Okay, and we also look at some past and upcoming events. So we'll do that this time also. Now, as most of us know, gold and silver also, for that matter, are on fire currently. Every week they are making new all-time high, right? So we'll spend some time on gold and silver analysis. So as I mentioned here, I normally highlight some of the important topics for a particular week or for a particular session. So gold, silver is something important for this particular session. And another important point that we want to discuss is Nifty PE. As Indian market is close to all-time high levels, so are we near the top? So there are various ways we can understand whether the market is at the top or not. One of those ways is to analyze the PE level and the past performance vis-a-vis the PE levels. So we'll see that also. And in between, if anybody has any comment, question, you can put it in the chat box. At the end also, we will have a question and answer session. So before we go ahead, those of you who do not know me, my name is Ritin Chaudhary and I run this firm RGS Consulting, which is an end-to-end wealth management firm. And we are offering various services. Prior to starting this, till 2016, I worked in the IT industry. I worked in companies like Cisco, etc. So that's a quick background about myself. So let's go on with our discussion. So we'll head to the charts now. We usually do, and something that I like to do. Okay. So let's look at SPX. So for those of you who do not know, SPX is S&P 500, the major index in US. Like we have Nifty or Sensex in India. Similarly, S&P 500 is the index of the top 500 companies in US, which includes all type of companies, IT companies, AI companies, manufacturing companies, all type of companies, the top 500. Okay. Now, if you see this chart here, it is a weekly chart for S&P and it is looking bullish, but at the same time, it is at the resistance level. Okay. So the resistance that we saw in October, the same resistance level the market ended last week, which is basically the week we started on December 22. So if this level breaks, then obviously we might see a fresh leg of rally in US market. But we'll have to see for that, we'll have to wait for the next weekly close. That is basically the January 1st week close. We'll have to wait for that weekly close for SPX, but as of now, it is at resistance level. So it will be better if we stay cautious and SPX, particularly if we want to say it is looking neutral at this point of time. I mean, from my analysis point of view, I will say it is neutral. Let us look at DXY, the dollar index, again on weekly. So DXY on weekly is again down. Okay, DXY is basically the dollar index, the weighted average of dollar against major global indices. And we always look at this also as one of the indicators for market movement. Now, as there was rate cut in US in December, as most of you would be knowing, because of the rate cut, the dollar has gone down. Okay, and it is reflected on the charts also. Now, something important for us, USD INR. USD INR last week made a, so rather last to last week, it crossed 91, and then there was some recovery last week. So whether it will go further down, we don't know, but it's close to support now. So it is difficult that it will go below 89.5 or so. If it goes below 89.5, it will be positive for the Indian market. Then Japanese yen. Okay. Now you might have seen in our RGS Alpha group that I have mentioned about, or rather I have talked about the Japanese rate of interest increase. The Japanese central bank increased the rate of interest last week again, and that is positive for Japanese economy. Japanese stock market is doing good, but it can have a negative impact on global economy. Okay, there are various reasons for that, and we can discuss about that in detail later. But the point to note is that Japan central bank increasing the rate of interest is kind of negative for the global market, especially US market. And of course, if the US market goes down, it can be negative for India. It can be negative for all the global markets. And if we look at technically from the charts point of view, you can see here that the Japanese yen against US dollar. So this is a currency where Japanese yen against US dollar, it has started rising. Okay. And if it starts rising further, your dollar will further go down, and we can see a negative impact on the US market. Now that will not be a surprise because as I mentioned earlier, SPX is close to the resistance level. सो दिस काइंड ऑफ कोरिलेट्स, इसका कोरिलेशन बनता है कि यहाँ पे अगर आपका येन ऊपर जाता है तो यू विल सी अ फॉल इन द और अदर करेक्शन इन द यूएस मार्केट. बट लेट्स सी, आई मीन इट इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी. we'll have to wait for next week's price action. Crude oil is going down, okay, as you can see on the chart. Russia Ukraine matter or Russia Ukraine war is probably about to be over, most probably, and that might basically reduce the pressure on oil prices. But at the same time, US is opening a new front on Venezuela. अभी वो वेनेजुएला का ब्लॉकेड वगैरह चालू है, सो oil prices, it may not fall much, but probably may not go too much high also. So oil prices are looking neutral. If we talk about gold, again, gold is close to resistance. We'll separately talk about gold in detail. Right now, I'm just looking at the macro picture for all the various indices. So gold is close to resistance, okay. So gold is close to resistance, your SPX is also close to resistance. So this kind of indicates that we might see some kind of dip next week, okay. This basically this scenario indicates to a dip in the stock market next week. Everybody with me? Hope you are getting what I'm saying. If you have a query, you can put it in the chat box. So there is a question why you are saying it might be a dip. Okay. So normally what happens if everything is normal globally, and if stock market, the SPX and gold, they are both at a resistance level, and your DXY is going down, and counter currency like Japanese yen, if it is going up, so that puts pressure on the stock market. And with that analogy, I am saying that there is a possibility that we might see a dip in the stock market next week. How much it can fall or whether it will fall really or not, I am not saying 100%, but it looks like it is possible. As I said, you'll have to wait for the weekly close next week. So I hope that clarifies the query. Now let us come back to the Indian market. So has been India market ended in green last week, but not a major green, slightly green. Okay, just 0.29% because there was a 3 weeks drop here continuously. If you see, from 1st of December for 3 weeks the market was down, and there was little bit recovery last week, but then even that recovery is quite weak. If you can see here, this candle that has got printed on weekly, this is a bearish candle. Okay, तो ये कैंडल बेरिश है, इसका मतलब है कि इंडियन मार्केट में भी नेक्स्ट वीक में बेरिश मोमेंट एक्सपेक्टेड है एज पर द चार्ट्स. सो निफ्टी should be bearish next week. Okay. Again, this correlates that SPX looking bearish, gold might go down. तो ये dip का इंडियन मार्केट के ऊपर इम्पैक्ट होगा. और ऑब्वियसली इम्पैक्ट वही होगा कि निफ्टी में डिप आएगा इन द शॉर्ट टर्म. If you look at Nifty from the Fibonacci point of view, here also you can see that it has made a lower low. Okay. Sorry, lower high. So it could not break the first December high. Then we saw that on 23rd December, a lower high was made and now it is going down. It has taken some support here at 26,000, which is basically a good support area as per Fibonacci. But I am afraid it may not hold and we might see a further dip. Let us look at Bank Nifty. So Bank Nifty also similar to Nifty has been bearish last 3 weeks. In fact, Nifty last week was little bit green, but Bank Nifty was red last week also. So there is a bearish phase which has started in Bank Nifty and we will see further downward movement in Bank Nifty. So this is the first support area around 58,800 and it looks like it will test the further support area of around 58,300. So both Nifty, Bank Nifty towards Tuesday, Wednesday, we will see further dips in Nifty and Bank Nifty. The market volume is currently low because it's a holiday season all over in India also and in Europe and US also. But all said and done, the market action will continue. Okay. So to summarize for Nifty and Bank Nifty, we'll discuss about other things. I will come back to gold and silver price action. But to summarize for Nifty and Bank Nifty, you can see the support. Currently, Nifty is around 26,042 or let's say 26,050. It can go up to 25,950 or 25,750. So another 250, 300 point drop is very much possible. Okay, in terms of resistance, upside, it can go to 26,250 or 26,600. So that is on the higher side in case 26,100, 26,150 breaks, then you can see a move towards 26,600. और ये 26,600 बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग रेजिस्टेंस एरिया है. अगर 25 26,500 26,600 इस रेंज में निफ्टी जाता है तो आपको डेफिनेटली प्रॉफिट बुकिंग करना चाहिए. आपका एटलीस्ट 25% 50% स्टॉक्स हो या इवन म्यूचुअल फंड्स फॉर दैट मैटर वो बेच के आपको कैश में कन्वर्ट करना चाहिए बिकॉज वहां से अच्छा खासा डीप मार्केट में आ सकता है. I want to show one pattern here for Nifty. Anybody aware of head and shoulder pattern? Can somebody put it in the chat box? Have you heard about head and shoulder? Head and shoulder pattern. Anyone? Okay, no problem. So head and shoulder pattern is a technical pattern, technical analysis pattern, okay, which we can see on the charts. Now, if you see Nifty here, and you can Google about that later, but if you can see on Nifty, there's a potential head and shoulder pattern getting formed. So in the head and shoulder pattern, what happens? This is the left shoulder, and this can be your uh, head. Let me try to draw it. Okay, this is the left shoulder, and this is a potential head which will get formed. And in case it gets completed, then you will see another pattern like this. Okay. Now, if this pattern gets completed, let me repeat again, I am not saying it is going to happen, but it is possible. And in analysis, we have to always see what is possible, okay, and that is how we basically can forecast. तो ये पैटर्न अगर कंप्लीट होता है, ओके, एंड इन केस निफ्टी गोज बिलो दिस लेवल ऑफ 25,700, तो फिर वहां से मेजर फॉल आएगा, मेजर फॉल आने देन इट कैन गो ऑल द वे अप टू 25,150 और इवन 25,000 फॉर दैट मैटर. सो होल्डिंग दिस 25,750 लेवल इज वेरी क्रिटिकल फॉर निफ्टी. और ये टेक्निकली हेड एंड शोल्डर पैटर्न यहाँ पे बन रहा है ऑलरेडी. तो यहाँ से ये 25,750 टच करेगा, फिर से थोड़ा रिबाउंड देगा एंड देन इट कैन फॉल फर्दर. सो जस्ट कीप दिस इन माइंड, इट इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी. अभी के लिए तो लग रहा है कि ये 25,750 की तरफ फॉल देगा फ्रॉम द करंट लेवल ऑफ 26,050. ओके, so that's about the nifty head and shoulder. And coming back to, so overall there is a range of around 850 points for nifty, and my bias is that we'll see 25,750 tested in the current week. अगर ये 25,750 hold करता है then we might see a bound towards 26,250, but let's see. Coming to bank nifty was weaker than nifty last week, and currently the support for bank nifty is 58,375, 58,800 as we saw the charts. Resistance is 59,700, 66, 60,250. Okay, how do we got this resistance? I'll quickly show you the bank nifty Fibonacci chart. Okay, here you can see that 60,217 is the resistance on for bank nifty on Fibonacci. Okay, it's a very strong resistance zone और वहां से इसने रिवर्सल दिया है. If we see in the past also 1.618, it is called as a golden ratio for Fibonacci. यहाँ से इसने डिप दिया था, तो सेम थिंग इज हैपनिंग करंटली ऑल्सो. तो इन एनालिसिस वी हैव टू ऑलवेज लुक एट द पास्ट पैटर्न्स ऑल्सो कि सिमिलर सिचुएशन में पास्ट में क्या हुआ. सो दैट गिव्स अस एन आइडिया एज टू व्हाट टू एक्सपेक्ट इन द कमिंग डेज और कमिंग वीक्स. ओके, so that's about nifty and bank nifty. Let us look at the other things. So now again I want to go back to discussion about gold and silver. As we said, as I said initially, that we will discuss about gold and silver in detail. So let us revisit gold and silver because there is a lot of curiosity about gold. बहुत लोगों के मैसेजेस आ रहे हैं, कॉल्स आ रहे हैं कि अभी गोल्ड में क्या करना चाहिए. ओके, हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर क्यूरियस अबाउट गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर? आप में से कितने लोगों ने कुछ ट्रेड किया है इन गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर इन पास्ट फ्यू वीक्स? एनीबॉडी? Anybody has taken any trades? Curious, invested via ETF. Congratulations. Okay, nice. ETF investment, not yet. Okay. Good. ये नॉट एट वालों का प्रॉब्लम है बिकॉज क्या हो गया कि अभी तक तो कुछ किया नहीं, बट अभी इतना हाइप बढ़ गया है तो you might get tempted to enter the market. Okay, so for that we have to look at the resistance and support levels. So as you can see on the chart here, and as I mentioned earlier, gold is close to a very strong रेजिस्टेंस एरिया. ये डॉलर का वैल्यू है. ओके, गोल्ड का डॉलर का वैल्यू है 4,543. सो यहाँ से ये मेजर फॉल दे सकता है टुवर्ड्स 4,200 एंड इवन फॉर दैट मैटर 4,031. यानी अराउंड 10 to 12% गोल्ड प्राइसेस डिप हो सकते हैं फ्रॉम द करंट लेवल्स. सो इफ आई वर यू, अगर मुझे गोल्ड में फ्रेश एंट्री लेना है तो आई विल वेट फॉर सम टाइप ऑफ डिप. व्हेन आई से सम टाइप ऑफ डिप, तो एटलीस्ट आपको जो एक क्लोज सपोर्ट लेवल्स है लाइक 4,400 फर्स्ट सपोर्ट है, 4,313 इज द सेकंड सपोर्ट एंड 4,164 इज अ स्ट्रॉन्ग सपोर्ट एरिया. तो ये जो पिंक लाइन है बेसिकली ये अराउंड 4,200 का जो रेंज है, $4,200 का जो रेंज है, दिस इज हाई प्रोबेबिलिटी दैट गोल्ड विल विजिट दिस. ओके, और गोल्ड विल टेस्ट दिस. सो अराउंड 4,200 के लेवल के लिए आपको वेट करना चाहिए. अगर आपको शॉर्ट टर्म ट्रेडिंग करना है, स्विंग ट्रेडिंग करना है, तो यू कैन गो फॉर बाइंग अराउंड 4400 ऑल्सो। अराउंड $150 का ड्रॉप आएगा तो थोड़ा स्विंग ट्रेडिंग करके प्रॉफिट कर सकते हो। दैट इज फॉर पीपल हु आर एक्टिव स्विंग ट्रेडर्स। अगर आपको एक्टिवली स्विंग ट्रेडिंग नहीं करना आता है, आपके पास में टाइम नहीं है, तो देन यू बेटर वेट। क्योंकि क्या है कि अगर आप करंट लेवल में बाय करते हो और वहां से वो डायरेक्टली इधर आ जाता है, विच इज डेफिनेटली अ पॉसिबिलिटी, तो स्ट्रेट अवे आप 10% डाउन हो जाओगे, एंड देन यू माइट हैव टू वेट फॉर 3 months 6 months फॉर रिकवरी। ओके, but I will say you can buy, you can take an entry if gold crosses this level of 4550, okay, in dollar terms. अगर ये 4550 का लेवल क्रॉस करता है और उसके ऊपर रहता है, then it can show a further breakout, and then there is no harm in taking an entry with a target of next level, which is 4781। और उसके लिए ये लेवल क्रॉस करके उसके ऊपर रहना चाहिए। ओके, तो फिर आप थिंक कर सकते हो ऑफ टेकिंग अ फ्रेश एंट्री। सिमिलरली इफ यू लुक एट सिल्वर, सिल्वर में तो भयानक मूवमेंट आया है। राइट, so on Friday, on one single day, it made a bounce of 10%, which is like unprecedented. तो सिल्वर का भी रैली सिमिलरली पैराबोलिक रैली हुआ है। तो सिल्वर में ड्रॉप काफी बड़े आ सकते हैं। इट कैन गो ऑल द वे टू 67 फ्रॉम द करंट लेवल ऑफ $80। एंड दिस ब्लैक लाइन विच इज सपोर्ट लाइन ऑफ $61, ये ब्लैक लाइन टेस्ट होगा इन अ वीक और 2 weeks और 4 weeks। ओके, अगर आप करंट लेवल में बाय करते हो, 78 79 में बाय करते हो, एंड इट गोज डाउन ऑल द वे अप टू 61, तो यू विल बी स्ट्रेट अवे 20 25% डाउन। तो इट्स बेटर टू बी केयरफुल एंड वेट फॉर सम डिप। अगर आपको भी बाय करना है तो मे बी आप छोटा क्वांटिटी बाय कर सकते हो एंड वेट फॉर अ गुड ड्रॉप, एंड देन यू कैन डू सम larger buying. So that's what I can say about gold and silver. Black line is EMA, it is 9 EMA. All the lines are EMAs. Black is 9, this is blue is 21, pink is 51, and yellow is 201. So SIP or lump sum, somebody is asking about SIP or lump sum in gold and silver. तो आप SIP करने की जगह वेट फॉर द ड्रॉप। आपका जो भी एक्स्ट्रा फंड्स है या जो भी आपका मंथली एलोकेशन है वो बाजू में निकालिए, और जब भी अच्छा ड्रॉप आएगा एट दैट टाइम यू कैन बाय लमसम। सो करंटली इज नॉट द टाइम फॉर डूइंग एनी लमसम एंड इवन SIP फॉर दैट मैटर। वेट फॉर द ड्रॉप, और ड्रॉप आने के बाद में आप लमसम बाइंग कर सकते हो। सेम फंडा यू कैन यूज इन निफ्टी एंड स्टॉक्स ऑल्सो फॉर दैट मैटर। ओके, सो दैट्स अ क्विक टेक ऑन गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर। आपको बाय करना है तो थोड़ा बहुत आप बाइंग कर सकते हो, बट बी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर अ ड्रॉप। और अगर ड्रॉप आता है तो देन एट द ड्रॉप यू कैन बाय सम बिगर क्वांटिटी। अपने ग्रुप में RGS अल्फा में आई कीप ऑन पोस्टिंग, आई हैड मेंशन्ड अबाउट अ गोल्ड ब्रेकआउट इफ यू रिमेंबर, एंड व्हेन देयर वाज अ ब्रेकआउट एंड आफ्टर आई मेंशन्ड दैट गोल्ड हैज रैलीड ऑलमोस्ट 15%। तो जिसने भी वो मैसेज देख के एक्शन लिया होगा, ही और शी कैन बी इन गुड प्रॉफिट। तो ये जो ब्रेकआउट यहाँ पे हुआ था 4217 पे, यहाँ पे मैंने बोला था कि अभी ब्रेकआउट हो गया है, आप बाइंग कर सकते हो। तो जिसने भी वो बाइंग किया होगा, अच्छा प्रॉफिट हुआ है। तो RGS अल्फा को आप फॉलो कीजिए एंड बी एक्टिव देयर। You can make some money just by following it, right? Okay, let's get back. So, we'll look at long built up and short built up stocks, and we'll also look at sectors. We'll also look at Nifty PE. Okay, Nifty PE will give us an idea about whether market is overbought and oversold. So, before that, just a quick idea about the RGS offerings. Okay, the investment offerings that we have. So, anybody of you who is interested, we have these various services available. You can get in touch with me and or contact on this number, and we can discuss about it in detail. So as I was saying, in silver, previously in the silver cycles, if you see in 1980, it made a all-time high of $50, and from there it went all the way up to $5. So 90% drop हुआ था। So this kind of parabolic rallies are very dangerous. You have to be very careful. In 2011, a $48 से direct अगेन इट वेंट डाउन ऑल द वे अप टू $18, सो 63% फॉल, अभी ये $80 गया है. सो यहाँ से और कितना ऊपर जाएगा और कितना नीचे जाएगा, विल हैव टू सी. बट देन whenever there is a parabolic rally like this, you have to be careful, and आपका जो allocation है, do some small allocation so that you don't have to regret if there is a big fall. So let us look at the stocks with long built up. Before that, I want to talk about the Nifty PE. Okay, if you can see here, the pink line is the Nifty PE and the black line is the Nifty. Okay. So typically, historically, if you see, around 23 is a strong resistance for Nifty PE, 23, 24. So currently Nifty PE is around 22.6. ओके, तो ये जैसे कि मैंने बोला कि अगर निफ्टी 26,600 के आसपास जाता है, 26,500 के आसपास जाता है, तो आपका ये निफ्टी पी बढ़ के 23.5 उस रेंज में जाएगा. तो दैट इज द रीजन आई सेड वहां पे प्रॉफिट बुकिंग अगर आप करोगे तो बेटर रहेगा. बिकॉज फ्रॉम देयर आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट 100% वहां से मार्केट नीचे जाएगा, बट डिप इज पॉसिबल एंड इट्स बेटर टू कीप सम कैश हैंडी. सो दैट द रीजन आई सेड 26,500 के आसपास आपको प्रॉफिट बुकिंग करना चाहिए फॉर श्योर. सो नाउ विल कम टू द स्टॉक्स. So these are the stocks which are currently bullish, okay, which are having a long momentum. So these stocks you can take a long position currently also, or you can wait for some kind of dip and then you can buy. Concor, Dalmia Bharat, Hindustan Zinc, Hudco, IRFC, the railway stock, MCX because of the commodities. Nalco, again, all the commodities are doing. I mean, not only gold and silver, even copper, platinum, they are also doing very good. So we can see that here. And let us look at stocks with which are having a short built up. Coforge, Dixon, and IEX and Supreme Industries. So these are the stocks which are having a short built up. तो अगर आप ये स्टॉक्स होल्ड कर रहे हो तो थोड़ा आपको इसमें एग्जिट करना चाहिए, लॉस बुकिंग करना चाहिए. एंड इफ यू वांट टू टेक सम शॉर्ट पोजीशन, यू कैन टेक शॉर्ट पोजीशंस आल्सो, बिकॉज दैट इज व्हाट डेटा इज सजेस्टिंग. डेटा नॉर्मली ये दिखाता है कि मार्केट क्या कर रहा है. ओके, द लार्जर पार्टिसिपेंट्स व्हाट दे आर डूइंग. सो इट्स ऑलवेज बेटर टू ट्रेड विद द ट्रेंड. ट्रेंड बेरिश है तो डोंट गो अगेंस्ट द ट्रेंड. बेरिश है तो आप इसमें बेरिश बेरिश पोजीशन लो. अगर आपको लॉन्ग पोजीशन है तो लॉन्ग पोजीशन आप रिड्यूस करो. दैट्स व्हाट इज नॉर्मली रिकमेंडेड. So we spoke about short built up stocks, long built up stocks. Let us look at the FII activity. And again, one point that we have to cover is the sector performance. So as you can see here, these are all the different Indian indices. So Nifty Media, Nifty Realty, Nifty IT, Nifty FMCG, Nifty Pharma. So these are the underperformers. Now Nifty Media has started recovering. So you might want to look at taking some positions in the Nifty Media stocks. I mean, there can always be some allocation for buy the dip strategy, right? तो अगर कोई सेक्टर बहुत ज़्यादा अंडर परफॉर्म करता है एंड देन इफ इट हैज स्टार्टेड रिकवरिंग, देन यू माइट वांट टू थिंक अबाउट टेकिंग सम पोजीशन देयर. अगेन आपको अलोकेशन और डाइवर्सिफिकेशन एंड रिस्क मैनेजमेंट ऑल दैट यू हैव टू फॉलो. सिमिलरली व्हिच सेक्टर हैज डन द बेस्ट? निफ्टी पीएसयू बैंक्स हैव डन वेरी गुड. तो ऑन द सिमिलर नोट यहाँ पे अभी फॉल चालू हो गया है. 1 मंथ इज रेड, 1 वीक इज रेड. तो अगर आप निफ्टी पीएसयू बैंक होल्ड कर रहे हो तो डेफिनेटली आपको वहाँ पे प्रॉफिट बुकिंग कर देना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये टाइट रिवर्स होने वाला है. जो अंडर परफॉर्मर थे अभी उनका परफॉर्मेंस चालू हो जाएगा, और जो आउट परफॉर्मर थे उनका परफॉर्मेंस अभी नीचे नीचे जाएगा. सो दैट्स हाउ मार्केट हैपेंस, मार्केट वर्क्स, एंड दैट इज हाउ द सेक्टर रोटेशन हैपेंस, राइट? तो इस सेक्टर रोटेशन आप यहाँ पे नोटिस कर सकते हो. So it's quite interesting and lot of time people take late action. But यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो you are getting the insight and you can actually go for action at the right time. Let us look at FII DI activity. The cash market on the daily basis, you can see FII are sellers, they are hardly buying. DII are buyers, domestic institutional investors, उनका buying बंद ही नहीं हो रहा है, they are just buying blindly. Good or bad, we'll have to see. On the monthly basis, if you see, FII are sellers for since July and DII are continuously the buyers. Now I want to show you why FII are not buying in the Indian market, okay, and something interesting. So we have to look at the annual performance of S&P, Nifty, and USD INR, and then you will yourself know why FII are not buying in the Indian market. Now, if you see SPX for 1 year, it has given a return of 17.61%. Okay. Look at Nifty for 1 year. So Nifty 1 year has given a return of 10%. Okay. Whereas SPX for 1 year has given a return of 17.61%. So this shows that the FII are smart, right? I mean, they have taken the right decision, and by not buying into Indian market and by making the allocation in the US market or global market, because China market has also done good. Some pockets in Europe has also done good. So they have made better returns. Now this is not end of the story. Another factor is USD INR. Last 1 year, USD has appreciated by 5%. तो इंडियन करेंसी भी डाउन हुआ है. ओके, इंडियन मार्केट हैज आल्सो अंडर परफॉर्म. ओके, एंड यूएस मार्केट हैज आउट परफॉर्म, प्लस द यूएस करेंसी हैज आउट परफॉर्म कंपेयर टू द इंडियन मार्केट. तो ये जो आपको एसपीएक्स यहाँ पे अराउंड 17% दिख रहा है, इफ यू ऐड दी rupee अंडर परफॉर्मेंस, तो straight away you can see that the SPX has given a return of like around 22%, 23%. तो यहाँ पे उनको रिटर्न मिल रहा था 7%, 8%, वेरेज यहाँ पे आई मीन इंडिया में रिटर्न मिल रहा था around 7%, whereas in US, by allocating the same money in US, they have made a return of around 22, 23%. So FII are doing the right thing. Okay. So that is the reason I always say कि ये DII का जो continuously buying चालू है, ये dangerous है. They are not understanding the risks in the market. So till the time FIIs don't become buyer in the Indian market on a monthly basis, I guess the Indian market underperformance at a global level will continue. अब ये कब चेंज होगा, कब एफआईआई बाइंग चालू करेंगे? प्रॉब्ली जब ये रुपीस का रिकवरी चालू हो जाएगा, अगर हमारा ये आईएनआर का फॉल रुकता है, if INR stops falling, and if it can go to the levels of like 87, 85, तो शायद उस टाइम पे एफआईआई का बाइंग फिर से चालू हो सकता है. ओके, सो we'll have to wait for that, and till that time we have to be cautious with the Indian market. एंड सेकंड इज द यूएस इंडिया ट्रेड डील. अगर यूएस इंडिया ट्रेड डील होता है इन कमिंग वीक्स और कमिंग मंथ्स, सो दैट विल बी अ पॉजिटिव ट्रिगर. बट अदरवाइज तब तक ओवरऑल फॉर द इंडियन मार्केट द पिक्चर इज स्लाइटली, आई विल से, बेरिश. ओके. So I covered most of the points I wanted to discuss today. If you have any further query, you can put it in the chat box, or of course you can put it in the RJS Alpha also. And those of you who are not part of RJS Alpha, this is the scan for RJS Alpha WhatsApp group. You can join it free of cost. By being part of the group, you can make some good money. Okay, we keep on giving good and useful updates on the group. So thanks everybody for joining. I wish you all a profitable week and profitable year ahead. Thank you. Goodbye.